We'll soon start. I'm starting waiting for others to rejoin us. Okay, can we continue now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I was explaining this now. Now, this is where some people may get confused with conditional statement. Now, when it finds its own condition and it executes whatsoever has been given to it to execute. Now, that's the reason why Python is so careful with indentation, because in this case now we can realize that the what we want a condition to execute, they are the stuff that are being indented inside of it. So like in this case now, we can do much more than printing. We can have a complex situation, maybe open a database, maybe change something, maybe shut down a system or whatever. They may be subjected to, there may be things that may be put under any of these conditions. So when it finds its conditions, it looks away from the whole conditional statement and it jumps to the next thing. So in this case now, Tunde finds his condition in the second condition, which is it starts with T. It does what it has been told to do, which is I love TS, but sorry. Then after that, it jumps out of the own conditions and come and print thank you for using my software. So that's how it works. So it's not going to look into any other condition again. So it's just going to jump out at. So assuming you didn't find its suitable condition, the condition that meets his situation, it will keep on checking. Then if it's now maybe it's checked for the third one, didn't find the category there, then it will go have no option than to go for the else. So whatever has been put inside else, we adopt it. So like I said, the else statement is used to address, to accept, to arrest any excesses that can be found in the conditions that must have been stated above. So let's run this now. So you can see our output now. Let me share our output with us. So we can see our output now. I love TS, but sorry. Now, and when it's done, it's printed, thank you for using my software. So it's as basic and simple and interesting as that. So let's move on. Let's move on now. I have an example here. Before we move to nested if. I have an example here. Write a Python program that prints all the numbers from 0 to 6 except 3 and 6. Use continue statement. Now, if we can remember the continue statement we talked about last class, Roshidu, can you remember the difference between continue and break statement?
Continue and break statements. Was I in the class?
Yes, that was on Tuesday.
Okay,
yes, under for loop.
For loop. Okay. Yes. I remember now.
Yes. So the continue we keep on iterating. but the break will just break out of the loop when it sees the conditions
Yes.
or whatsoever. So we are going to be doing something similar to that, and I think the exercise we want to do, we further cement the concept of break and continue. So who will do this exercise now? Okay, so let me comment this out. So I know we are familiar with multi-line commenting, so just use the three quotations so to comment that out. So let me have my question here. Let me increase my screen size. Okay, so this is my question. So now I want to print. So normally if I want to print from 0 to 6, all I would have done is I'll just use the for loop. I'll just use for, let me say, num. Like I said, this is a local variable for num in now range. So I'm going from 0 to 6. So but I know that when I'm using range, I don't the beginning the first value is the start, then the last value is not all, is the stop, but it doesn't stop at n, it stop at n minus 1. So I will raise it to 7 because I know it will start from 0, but it will not stop at 7, but it will stop at 6. So I'm going from 0 to 6. So now if I want it to print 0 to 6 in the real sense, this is what I would have done. I would have just said print num. Like from the concept of the for loop we learned from the last class, it's going to iterate from 0 to 6. So for the first time, num will be 0, then it will go ahead and do whatsoever has been indented inside the for loop, which in this case, I'm asking it to print 0. So to print 0, it will go back again, which is the concept of iteration. And when it's going back again, num will have been incremented to 1. So num will now be 1, it will print 1, it will go over again, num will now be 2, so till it gets to n minus 1. So in this case now, my n is 7, so till it gets to 6, so it will print 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, the question now instructs us to print all numbers between zeros and 6 except 3 and 6. So it wants us to exclude 3 and 6. So, and in this case now, it's asking us to use the continue statement. Now, let's do this. So I will bring in my condition and say if num equals 3. Now what I also forgot to explain to us is you can bind two conditions together in a single if statement. So we're doing that here. So if num equals to 3, or just like the normal or we are familiar with in English language, and this is what makes Python one of the best languages, like let's say best languages, like quite interactive. So if num is equals to 3 or num equals 6, then I don't want you to print it, just continue. Now this solves it, and let me explain again, and to further cement the concept of continue and break. Now the way it will start with, num will start with 0. It will check 0, is 0 equal to 3? No. Or is 0 equals to 6? No. Then it won't do what I've put here. So we can see that continue was indented. So in this case now, I'm not printing anything, just continue. And what continues mean is don't do any other thing that have been subjected to do inside this loop. Just move on to the next guy. Forget this guy. So that's the concept of continue. You just say, oh, okay, continue. That means ignore every other thing that should be done for this guy. Ignore every other thing that it should be done. Just move to the next value we are iterating over. But then if you move on to 1, then you check for 1, then is 1 equals to this. Oh, I'm trying to admit bro Shiju. Bro Shiju, where did you get us to? Seems you, maybe the network. Hello, Brasidio, are you with us? Brasidio, are you with us? Oh, Stephen, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, sir.
Brasidio, are you with
Yes,
us?
I'm here with you. Bro Stephen, yes, I'm here, sir.
Okay. Bro Felix, are you with us?
Yes, sir. Me too, sir.
Okay. Brasidio?
Yes, I just joined now.
Okay. Where did you break away so that I can re-explain again?
Yes, sir. I don't know what happened that my distance broke.
Okay, can you hear me now, sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. To what point did you get the exercise we are doing?
When you were talking about hello,
Yes, sir. I didn't get that, sir.
uh I said when you are discussing about the issue of breaking and then continuity
Okay.
of the else, of the if of the conditional statement.
Okay. So I will re-explain also now. Now because now with this solution here now, norm will start with 0. Then if you check, is 0 equal to 3? Is 0 equals to 6? Which is not, so this will return false because this condition is not true. It will return false. So then if it return false, we've indented and we've told it to continue. So it won't do continue. Then it will get out of it and come and print none. Just like in this case, that after Tunde met the second condition, it went ahead and printed thank you for using my software. So when this condition was not met, it will come and just print none. So it will print 0. Now it will move to 1. Then it will check for 1. 1 won't meet the condition also. Then it will print 1. It will do for 2. 2 can't be found in this condition. Then it will print. Now it will get to 3. Now 3 meets one of the
Sir, can you
conditions.
please come again? Because it's breaking. Can't hear you.
Hello, Stephen.
Sir,
Yeah, you were saying
I
something.
said the yes, I said that. Can you please recap from the if statement when you're trying to say if number is equals to 3 or number is equals to 6, and you are trying to tell us about how to use the continue distance. So I'm trying to say you should repeat that side, sir.
Okay, sir. Now, um, we know that the way this norm is going to work, being a for loop, is going to start from 0 and it's going to 6. So for the first time, norm is going to be 0. So it will check if norm equals 3, which is not true, is norm equals 6, is not true, then it won't execute what we've put here, which is continue. Then it will continue, it will move on to the next line, which is outside the conditional statement, which is print none. So it will go ahead and print 0. So when it goes back again, following the concept of iteration, which for loop gives us, none will now be 1. So when num is 1, this condition is not met also, then it will not perform what we have here. So it will only print 1. So when it gets to 3, now getting to 3, one of these conditions is being met. One of these conditions is being met, which is 3 is equal to 3. Then it will now go ahead and do what we have here, continue. And what continue does in a for loop is that it forgets any other thing that has to be done and it shifts to the next value to be iterated. So that means it will just ignore, assuming there are thousands of things that ought to be done inside the loop for when norm is 3, it will ignore it, then it will shift based to the next value is iterating to, which is 4. So continue statement will not break outside the loop, but will continue iterating, neglecting every other thing that ought to be done for the guy. So let's just run this now to further understand. So I'll run this now. we'll further understand. So let me share the our output with us. So we can see that we have 0, 1, 2, 4, 5. So the term continue, let me share the code again with us so that we can understand. The term continue, what it does is normally, now if I remove this now, let me just remove the condition. We know this should print out 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we introduced a condition that if it is 3 or 6, continue. So there must be something spectacular about continue. And what continue does is that it neglects every other thing that needs to be done for the present iterating value. So the first iterating value is 1, and 1 is 0 rather, and 0 does not meet the condition. It goes ahead and do any other thing that has been assigned for the 0 to do. So we've told that, okay, print 0. To move to 1, now 1 will meet the condition. It will do every other thing that normally should be done for 1. Then when it gets to 3, now 3 meets the condition, but what we are telling 3 to do is continue. And what is spectacular about continue is it will neglect every other thing that should be done in that iterating, that is to be done for that iterating value, for that present value is currently iterating. Forget every other thing that needs to be done, then it moves to the next value that is iterating to. So moving from 3 to 4, it won't print 3. Due to the variable, 3 means the condition, and 3 has been told to continue. So continue means neglect every other thing that should be done for this guy. Just move to the next value we are iterating to, which is 4. So that is the concept of continue. So I don't know if there's any other question at this point before we move on to the next thing. Any other question, sir?
No, sir.
Okay, it's very clear now.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Roshidu. Hello, Roshidu, are you with us? Okay, I think we'll move on to.
I think there's an issue with the network today, sir.
Okay,
It's very, very bad.
Wow.
Very, very
Let's
bad over here too.
this rain, but technology has gone beyond rain affecting us. So it is well. So let's look at the next question. I also have here. Okay, let me copy that. Next exercise I have for today. So let me comment this out. Okay, let me comment this out. So this is another question. Write a program to find those numbers which are divisible by 7 and multiples of 5 between 1, 5 and 2,700. So I'm going to use for loop also here. Where's the power of for loop? So it's going to be for num in now. I'm going from 1, 5 to 2, 7. So that will be 1, 5. That's my start. Then I'm going to 2, 7. So like I said, that it's not going to stop at n. So let me just add 1. So it's going to stop at n minus 1. So now, the first condition I have is if it is divisible by 7, and the second condition is and the multiple of 5. That means if I divide, now for something to be multiple of 5, it means if I divide that number by 5, it will give me a remainder of 0. Now let me shift to my shell and let me share something with us about how about a syntax which we may not be very familiar with. Now, if I have maybe A to be equal to 4 and I have B to be equals to 2. Now, if I want to get the remainder of now if I do, there's a symbol called, they call it modulus in some other languages, mod in key basic they call it mod in some languages they call it modulo, but me I call it present sign, but generally in programming terms it is modulo. Now if I want to get the remainder of of if I divide 4 by 2, if I want to get the remainder, all I have to do is just do 4 modulo 2, and that gives me 0. What it means is if I divide 4 by 2, I'm not just finding the value that it will give me, the modulo, like the remainder in this sense now. If I do 5 modulo 2, it will return 1, because if I divide 5 by 2, that is 2 remainder 1. So when I do anything modulo anything, it will give me the remainder. So if I do 7 modulo 5, 7 modulo 5, it gives me 2, because 7 divided by 5 is 1 remainder 2. So for any number to be a multiple of any number, then that number, if I find the modulo, okay, let me, now 10 is a multiple of 5. If I do 10 modulo 5, it gives me 0. So for any number to be a multiple of a number, then if I do their modulo, it should give me 0 as response. So we are going to be using that syntax to solve that question. So how we have it like this, and say if no, now if it is divisible by 7, that means if I divide it and it does not give me any remainder. So if num 7, I divide it divisible by 7, 7, if it is equals to 0, that's the first condition. If I divide it by 7 and it's equals to 0, and it's a multiple of 5, that means num modulo 5 is also equals to 0. So I have 2 conditions here. You must fulfill this, you must meet these conditions, and you must also meet this condition also. So if that is the case, if you meet that condition, then print none. So it's only going to print a number that meets this condition. So we can see the concept of conditional statements and how it finds application in the for loop. So I'm going to save this and I'm going to run it now. So it's going to give us a run through of numbers between 1, 5 and 2, 7 that are actually divisible by 7 and are actually multiples of 5. So let me run this now. So we can see these are the numbers. These are the numbers. So if these numbers now, they are divisible by 7 and they are multiples of 5. So let me share with us the screen so that we can see the output. So this is the output. You can see, so if we divide something like 2590 divided by 7, you get a whole number back. So it's divisible by 7. And if you do the same thing for 5, you get the same thing back. So two last things we're going to be talking about tonight is going to be nested if. Nested if. There is a situation that you may find yourself in which you have a condition inside a condition. Now, let's play around this condition. What if I don't just want to print only numbers that are divisible by 7, or maybe I want to subject it to another condition. So I may have an if statement inside another if statement. So it becomes a nested if statement. So maybe I say if that number, if num is maybe I only want to print maybe another condition, if num is greater than 2000. So that's another condition. So if that's the case, I will have this condition right inside of it. So this is an if statement inside another if statement. So they call this nested if. So you can have as many if statements inside as many if statements. So I can continue to if. But the thing is, the condition in the inner loop is dependent on the condition of the outer loop. That means in this case now, it's going to check for the first condition first. If it meets that, that's when the subject is to the condition inside. So even if it meets the one inside, if it does not meet the one outside, there's no way to get inside. So it's just like an house. If you don't pass the interview at the gate, there's no way you can see Oga in the office. So there's no, if you don't meet the condition at the outer loop, there's no way you can meet the condition there's no way you can even get inside it. So that's the concept of nested if. And the last thing for tonight is minimizing code. Now, what if you can actually write your if statement on a straight line? Quite interesting. You don't need to maybe indent and all that. Now let's play around it. Let me say s comma y equals 10 comma 50. So I have that. Then I can have it this way. If s greater than, okay, if y greater than s, and I will say print y is greater than x. Okay, come in. Okay, I'm coming. Where am I? Okay, I'm in the shell. Okay, let me run what I have here. Copy. Okay, I know where the bug is. Okay, so this is what I actually want to emphasize. You can actually put everything on a straight line. So instead of having to break it to the next line, you can put everything on a straight line. So we're capping it up here for tonight on conditional statement. We've discussed a lot, and I'll be sending an assignment to the WhatsApp channel, and expecting us to drop our assignment on the channel before Saturday, which is the next class. So I'll be dropping 3 assignments that will be requiring our understanding of the for loop and the conditional statement that we've done. So I don't know if there's any question at this point. Any question from us at this point? Any question?
No, sir. No questions, sir.
Okay, sir. So I'll be sending the
No, sir.
question
No, sir.
tonight. And if you have,
No, sir. Can you just please scroll down a little bit so we can see? Yeah, because of we are just. Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
okay,
Can you scroll up a little bit, sir?
okay,
Up, up a little bit more. A little bit, sir.
up, okay.
Yeah, it's okay like that, sir.
Okay. So the class is being
Okay, sir.
recorded and will be sent to the YouTube channel for those that miss the class and for us if you want to still make reference to some of the things that will be mentioned.
Hello, sir.
I can hear you, sir.
Yes, sir. Sir, we can't hear you clearly. The network was breaking.
Okay. I said the class is being recorded and the recordings, the video will be sent to a YouTube channel where we can maybe you know
Okay, sir.
check some things and for those that actually missed the class.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
So I wish us a good night, sirs.
And you too, sir. Have a wonderful night, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, sir.